I'm Rip Esselstyn, and you're listening to the Plant Strong podcast. At Plant Strong, we see it all the time. One partner is ready to make a change, eat more plants, live with purpose, but the other, just not quite there yet. So what do you do when your house is divided? This week on the podcast, I sit down with Dr. Luella Jonk for a deeply insightful conversation about the pillars that hold strong relationships together, even when you're not on the same page. We'll have this deeply compelling conversation right after this message from Plant Strong. What if one day could change your mindset and 1 week could change your life? Well, we've got both coming your way. First up, don't miss Plant Stock 2025. It'll be streaming live on Saturday, September 6th. This virtual event is your front row seat to the future of food as medicine, with powerful presentations from rockstar doctors, experts, and real people who have transformed their health with the power of plants. Tickets are just $29, and partial proceeds support the rebuild of Blue Ridge Assembly, our beloved second home in Black Mountain, North Carolina. Then, in November, join us in person for the Plant Strong retreat in Black Mountain. It's 6 days of total transformation filled with nourishing food, movement, connection, and the latest and greatest in lifestyle medicine and nutrition science. Healthcare providers, this one is for you. We are offering continuing education credits as part of your registration. So whether you want to join us online, in the mountains, or both, this is your chance to reset, reconnect, and reclaim your health. Grab your spot now at liveplantstrong.com and then click on events. With over 25 years of experience, relationship coach and psychotherapist, Dr. Luella Jonk has certainly seen and heard the complications and threats that occur in most relationships. Modern society has made it even more difficult to connect on a daily basis with our significant others. And then we have these constant distractions from our phones, our computers, non-traditional work schedules, and everything that is supposed to connect us, but actually makes us feel more alone than ever before. We see it here at Plant Strong too, especially when one partner is ready to make a health change, but feels completely disconnected from their partner. They feel that they have to go it alone, causing even more strife in a relationship that may already be fractured. But there is hope, and Dr. Luella shares her thoughts, and these are thoughts based on decades of experience, on what makes marriages truly thrive. And trust me, Plant Strong family, it's not rugged individualism. It is a partnership, and it's a choice that you make every single day. Today's episode is about getting real, getting grounded, and showing up for the people that we love. Dr. Luella Jonk, I want to welcome you to the Plant Strong podcast. It's a pleasure to have you. Where am I speaking to you from today?
A place you probably have never been to, which is Winnipeg, Manitoba. So that's Canada, and our neighbors are Saskatchewan and Ontario. And I know you had, you've had a couple of Canadians maybe, but the latest, what is it? Scratchy, what is her name? She came up with the cookbook last year.
Carly Bodrug.
Yeah, she's right next to me in Ontario. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I'm just north of North Dakota. Like the border is about, an hour's drive away, sort of thing. So
yeah. So I had one of my buddies on the podcast, Brad Kearns, and we talked about how to I think let me just think for a sec. Born to Walk. That was the title. Born to Walk. It was a book that he wrote with his buddy Mark Sisson. And I think that's maybe in part how you found out about us. I could be wrong.
Oh, no. I was listening to you well before that. but probably because when I started going more or less plant-based, probably almost a couple years ago. I mean, obviously that's, they feed you what you're interested in, right, on social media right now. So
Yeah.
probably found you that way, and then been a pretty dedicated listener ever since. So when I heard Brad, I was like, "Oh, Brad and I had a conversation." Like,
Yeah.
yeah, so maybe we can pop on here too. Or
Well, so I love that you're on your, a whole food, plant-based journey yourself, and you were kind of leaning into this lifestyle because you had some elevated cholesterol that you were
oh
trying to
yeah,
kind of nip in the bud, right?
yeah, it's still a journey. I'll just share with you because you might fall over backwards. But I had to do some conversions, and my 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 total cholesterol has maintained the same over the last 5 years, and that's from going to, you know, more of a Mediterranean to more mostly plants. It's remained around 300-ish.
Hmm.
And I've been referred to in Canada, like we're fortunate that, we don't have to pay for these things, but I was referred to the lipid clinic back in about 2020. So they've been following me, and I haven't, I mean, my HDL is excellent. It's about at 140, and it's remained that way, and the LDL, unfortunately, is its highest was about 204, and it hasn't changed a lot. And same with my ApoB. It was the worst 5 years ago when I had more of a mixed diet, and it's better now, but still,
Hmm. Hmm.
it's I don't know.
Well, I know that. So those numbers that you just shared, that is in milligrams per deciliter. Then
Yes,
I would imagine that's the
I
conversion.
converted it
Yeah.
to, yeah, the US, yeah.
Yeah. I've never heard of an HDL in 140. That's kind of like astronomically high. And that's, as the audience I think is well aware, that is considered the healthy
Yes.
cholesterol. But in some cases, they can turn into rogue LDLs. So,
Mm.
my father has taught me that a high HDL is in no way, shape, or form does that mean that you are protected from heart disease
Oh,
just because
no.
you have a high HDL. Yeah.
Not at all. And just so you know, the way they left it off, I mean, they look at all the risk factors, right? My age and I really liked my lipid doctor. He said to me, how did he explain it now? He said, could we put you on a statin? Yeah. But he says you got to realize it really only takes care of,
Mm.
20%, or was it less? Was it 2% of like he says it's like giving 100 people, a statin, and then thinking, yeah, like I can't remember if he said 2% or 20%. It's going to help. I think it's 2%. Two out of the 100. It's going
No,
to.
no, no. You're exactly right. It's the lower number.
Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah, yeah.
exactly. And when I heard that, I thought, why would I do that? And then he referred me to get a CAC score, which I'm waiting for now,
Mhm.
for that referral to, like, yeah, land and to be called in for that. And maybe I'll let you know what it shows. But I'm thinking I'm not going to go forward with anything without actually seeing what's happening inside my arteries.
And
So
a CAC, that's the
the ca-
coronary
yeah,
calcium score,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
coronary artery calcium score. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, all right, so let's dive into some things here because I want to. You have some expertise around certain subjects. You're a
Hmm.
registered psychotherapist. You're a clinical counselor, certified functional medicine practitioner. But I also, in doing my research, I love some of your some of the things that you like speaking about, and I
Hmm.
think I think it's not necessarily in alignment with kind of culture today,
Yeah.
but I think there's something to it. And so, for starters, if you could like share with the audience, how do you identify yourself, Luella?
Okay. Well, yeah, the most important thing I think, I need to say is that I'm a wife, a mother, a psychotherapist, someone who is also faith-based as well. And yeah, I try to just sort of start each day like reminding myself of what's really important to me, and it's actually the way I start my day too. It's sort of I start in solitude, in prayer, in reflection, and from there I know this isn't exactly the question you asked, but from there I go into our garage and I just do some strengthening and stretching. Very little cardio. All I have is a skipping rope in there,
Mm.
but it gets my heartbeat up for a bit, and that's more like, yeah, 20 minutes, half an hour, and then connecting with my family after that, and then I see clients, right? So that's yeah.
What I want to dive into with you, because I think it's really powerful and relevant, is marriage, right?
Mhm.
And you say how it's constantly under pressure these days from this modern culture,
Yeah,
which is trying to promote comfort over commitment and
yeah,
individualism over unity. And you have these 12 core principles that you say, and that you've kind of found over, I think, what, your 25 years of doing counseling, serve as the foundation for a lasting and meaningful marriage. So if you're game, I'd love to toss them up to you and then kind of talk about those 12. Does that sound
sure,
good?
sure, sounds great.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So your first pillar that you have is partnership over individualism. And you say that a marriage is not about I, but we.
Yeah, it's that one's really about so many examples, but like it's sort of listening to one another in terms of their perspectives, like one another's perspectives, and how we have to listen and be curious towards one another. It's like, why do you think why is that meaningful to you? Um, and rather than and
Mm.
like, for a quick example of that, Rip, would be like when I was going through my PhD and I was reading a lot about dual language acquisition and how kids' brains just really, like, the neurons just fire and expands your brain, and I was like, whoa, our kids should be in a dual language school. And at the time they were in a Catholic private school, and I was sort of like with my husband, well, no, they need to be, the literature shows it's important for them to have this. And he very reluctantly went along with me, but that's not an example of we.
Hmm.
That's I, this is what I think, and so on. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Um, yeah, it seems like so. I mean, because it seems like outside of the marriage, there is so much individualism.
Oh,
And so you have to come back and really focus on the partnership and not
yeah.
individualism, which I would imagine for many of us is probably a pretty tricky tight. It's probably hard to figure that out.
Yeah, it's really hard. And then, that's when you seek counsel, right? Like if you're going through a really like difficult situation, like it's always great to have that third person in the
Mm.
room listening to your concerns, sort of thing.
Hmm. All right. So your second pillar is commitment as a covenant. What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, it's not a contract. It's not something that, is sort of can be played with or negotiated with or something like that. It's 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 what you said, on the day that you married your partner, like for better or for worse, for rich or for poor, like we have each other's back. And it's it's a gift. It's a grace to be able to, give to another person, and for both of you to um, create this family together too. I mean, it's sort of like to provide life to t- to a child, and to have that be your legacy behind it. And so, I mean, obviously, I always have to use that caveat. Like, obviously, there's going to be relationships that need to end. Like, if there's, severe emotional or physical abuse. So it's not just sort of like this blank statement I'm saying. But I think too quickly we just feel like it's like, I've been trying for a year and it's not working.
Mm-hmm.
Those kind of statements is sort of like a year, like marriage is absolute sacrifice. And I think that's what we should be proclaiming from the top of the roof. Like it's, you are going to be constantly sacrificing for this other person, because you are so different in
Mm-hmm.
your upbringings. You know, you'll never, rarely going to see things the same way.
What if one of the partners feels like the sacrifice they're making is far exceeding the sacrifice that the other partner is making, which I'm sure a lot of relationships feel like they're kind of out of balance when it comes to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I think it's important to speak about that. And I always also say that there's seasons in a relationship too. Like, I mean, I come from a farming community right now, and are my brothers, carrying the load of the family right now? No. Like they're gone, like, I don't know, 5:30, 6 a.m. in the morning, and they're back in like when it's dark, 9:30 or sort of something like that. So are they, like carrying the other responsibilities of the house right now? Absolutely not. And so, I mean, how long can that carry on? That's what at least it's a season, it's a spring season, it's a fall harvest season, but it shouldn't be like that forever. And it's the same thing if someone's, if a even if a woman's working, and maybe they're a lawyer, and maybe they're going through certain, like, yeah, they're in court, for the next 2 weeks. I mean, it's sort of it calls for communication with one another, right? Like, let's get our calendars out, and plan this, like figure it out, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But to say it needs to be 50-50, it's rarely 50-50 at any given time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
I can't remember where I was, but it might have been something I heard or I asked, because I always ask couples that have been together, 50 years, 60 years. I said, what was the
yeah.
secret to you guys staying together? And I think one of them once said, neither one of us decided to quit at the same time. I'm sure that you've heard something like that.
Yeah, no, I
But
haven't heard that. That's a great saying, though.
yeah, yeah. So let's go to pillar number 3, which is intimacy beyond the physical. What do you mean
Uh,
by that?
yeah. When I write about this, or when I speak about it, like it tends to be, this is where we might, you know, have a little bit more, I don't know, empathy for women, perhaps, in the sense that I think a lot of, like, women, again, because of hormones, I mean, we don't have the same sexual, now, again, not all women. I have some women in my practice that
Hmm.
seem to have a higher sexual drive than their partners. But it's to see sex as a different way. That, you know, the physical act of sex is that it's physical, but that's just sort of like the entry point into the deeper connection of love. It's the passion of love, whereas, like, the main part of the relationship is the act of love, or you could say, like, you know the day-to-day grind or the acts of love. And then once children leave the nest, I feel like it's become more of a habit of love. So the sex piece is such a small piece. It's the eroticism. Um, and I'd say, like, maybe I'm favoring women a little bit more here in the sense that I think, like, well, women do often feel objectified, in that sense. Um, and often they're, sometimes confused about, what do I just need to serve the husband all the time? Serve, 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 and or be obedient, like, as certain terms are taken out of the Bible and then like, but they're taken the wrong way. It's sort of, well, no, it's more of serving one another. Like, of course, it's that. And I mean, I think sex was created for marriage, for procreation, sort of thing. And if you think of it that way as well, it's sort of like, well, there's only a certain few days that a woman is fertile. It's not meant to be, like every day, every second day. And if a man is just going to say, well, what do you want? This is me, or whatever, or I mean, no, that it becomes sort of like transactional. It's meant to be much, much more intimate than that. So,
Yeah. I would imagine you've probably seen what, thousands of couples?
well, yeah, I guess so. I never really
Okay.
thought of it. Yeah.
But I'm just wondering, I would imagine that infidelity is probably pretty predominant, and I'm wondering
Yeah.
how do you how do you handle infidelity, especially in I think a culture where it's like, okay,
Yeah.
my wife cheated on me or my husband cheated on me, the relationship's done. When it seems like there's there's ways to repair the relationship without throwing, the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah, 100%. Like the biggest thing with betrayal, like in that way with affairs, is sort of to rebuild the trust. I mean, and let's face it, it's hard. It's if once that happens, it's super hard. You're always second guessing, you're always anxious, you're always worried. But I find it depends on the age of the relationship, like how long have they been together. The longer the relationship, the easier it is to mend, I would say, because they realize what the relationship has been. How both have sacrificed so long for one another, and you don't just throw the baby away with the bathwater. You work on it. You work on their trust issue. Whereas the younger relationship is sort of, yeah, well, whatever. He's done this or she's done this. Like, that's it's not going to work. It's not going to work. I think unless it happens to you, you can't even say what you're going to do in
Right.
that instinct. But the culture, the dating culture, I mean, that's where I find, like, I never in a million years, like, would have ever, when I was dating, like, that just did not happen. I don't, like, unless I lived in a sheltered environment, it's just sort of, people just didn't cheat like they do now. And
Mm.
I think it's also has to do somewhat with the whole idea that, sex isn't sacred anymore.
Well, I think that sex could be a whole 5-hour conversation.
Exactly.
But so it's it is yeah, it's very it's a quagmire,
Yeah.
um, very intense. So let's move on. So I've got 3 kids.
Yep.
Your fourth pillar is parenting as a team, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
unifying your parenting approach. How do you suggest that we do that?
Well, yeah, this one really is popular with couples. They both want this very badly. Parenting as a team. Well, it's again, it's not. It's realizing that you have one perspective and the other person has a perspective, that, like listening to one another in terms of one of, each other's needs. I gave you the example of, me reading the literature about what children need and thinking that's the way we need to go. But maybe a better example would, of course, be, when I say parenting as a team, it's like because we all have our different, like we were raised differently,
Mm.
and what was normal in your home is not necessarily normal in your spouse's home. So this is where the heads can really butt, and say, well, it should be this way or that way. But an example would be like, I don't know. Um, okay, so your 14-year-old daughter wants to leave the house with, this like scantily clothed, outfit sort of thing. And you are kind of saying, absolutely not. There's no way you're leaving the house looking like that. Um, and your wife is sort of like, hey, and sort of whatever. It takes you aside, but like not in front of the child or anything like that, or just saying, give us a sec, we're going to talk about this or whatever. But her maybe speaking to you about why she trusts your daughter and
Mhm.
conversations that she might have had with her daughter, your daughter, already, and things like that. And then, maybe coming to like and just giving a strict curfew because we all know nothing good happens after 2 a.m., as my father always used to say. And like, yeah, maybe other boundaries, but like if this is her style of clothing, let's just be smart about it, sort of thing. So
Mhm.
that's more of a team approach rather than, your wife wanting to sort of step in and it's like, nope, nope, this is it. This is like, sort of thing. That's not a team.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, no, I can definitely say that when you're not parenting as a team, it can cause some internal strife
Oh,
with you and your partner, which leads to some, resentment and anger.
well, and then also like the child soon learns who to go to
Mhm.
depending on what they want, right? Because if he or she sees the different perspectives, she's going to go to one parent for money and the other parent for something else,
Mhm.
a ride or whatever that might be.
Yeah. Do
Yeah.
you have to deal with, I'll just make this up, but let's say parents trying to figure out with their children screen time?
Oh, well, yeah, not so much. I tend to get like I find I get the older couples in because of my age. They know that I can relate to her because our kids are adults or whatever. So I can't say I've had a lot about screen time, but that's that's got to be a challenging issue.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that I did not have a phone, really until my children were a fair bit older, and that I mean, obviously, I'm not a dinosaur. My 14-year-old or whatever would have had phones and stuff like that, but it was easier then too. I don't know. It just seems like, I
Hmm.
mean, they use it for school now. They use it for everything. Screen, some sort of device. So I guess
Yeah.
parental controls, and I guess you and your partner speaking about that, right?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. No, those screens are ubiquitous, so
Yeah.
it's toughy. Your fifth pillar is silent connection. I really like the sound of that.
As a man, you probably would because I mean, I've had a lot of women that are complaining about their husbands not speaking,
Mm.
and maybe it's the first thing after they come in to the door after a hard day's work or whatever, right? And women tend to be more chatty Cathys, right? Like, let's face it, that's how women feel. I know it's a form of self-soothment. I always say women flock together and they talk, 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 and that's their therapy. Whereas like men just don't. And so Um, I mean, I guess I could just counsel women there too. It's sort of like sometimes silence can be a really deep form of connection.
Mm,
Um, because maybe then you're not micromanaging the house or over correcting your spouse or whatever. But just sort of like, I mean, let's face it, like, um, just to be in a room together, doing your own thing. Maybe it's reading, maybe it's working, maybe it's like you don't always need to be
mm,
speaking. And again, very individualistic, right? Just because a man is not saying much, it doesn't mean he doesn't love you. And
mm.
he wants your companionship, but in silence.
Yeah.
So respect that.
So you put that one in there for the men.
It's kind of, yeah,
For the
because
for the men, and then for the women to understand that, hey, their silence can also be a form of connection and love.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah. How about, okay, so what about financial unity? Seems like finances and money is always an issue.
oh gosh. Yeah. Well, again, I think that the most important thing again is our money. Again, like we over I, our money. I often have to correct, couples in the room, partners that talk about, well, I earned it. It's sort of thing, or that's my money, sort of thing.
Mhm.
It's never my money. It's never my money. I mean, even like and one partner tends to take care of the money too. It's sort of like, for example, in my relationship, my husband always sort of like dished it out to the kids, sort of thing. But it's not that it's his money. He might have bought the car for the kids, or and but it's really important for the kids to also respect that. Like even if dad makes 60,000 a year and mom makes 90,000 a year, it's still our money. It's not.
Mhm.
So I think most of the financial decisions should be made that way. And I always say, there, of course you can have your own account for your own like play money or whatever it is. I mean, whatever that might mean for you. Like if you love traveling and you want to have a travel account and you take part of your earnings for that, great. But like, I do think there should be a shared account for the household expenses.
No, it seems like I know way too many relationships where it's almost like the husband runs the money and almost gives the wife like an
Oh,
allowance.
I
You know what I
know.
mean? And is constantly monitoring, overseeing,
Right.
and that just feels icky.
No, totally icky. Yeah, totally icky. That's what I mean. The money goes in a joint account. She pulls it out if she needs, if she is a stay-at-home mom, if she has
Yeah.
a lesser income, whatever. Yeah,
Hmm.
100%.
Hmm.
And they're also like with all of these, I think pillars in a way is sort of realize that you were brought up differently, and it is an important topic to discuss before because some people spend so freely, and others are savers because that's the way we were brought up.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, I think it's important that you decide kind of early on in your relationship what are your shared financial goals.
Yeah. Oh,
And then
yeah.
if you decide, well, let's try and save this percent of our joint income yearly, then you're kind of together working towards like let's say we're working towards financial freedom, so that after 25 years of working, we can retire and we don't have to be stressed about it.
Exactly. Yeah, just like any business partner would do, right? Like, I mean, and if you have to go back to the table over and over to negotiate, it's sort of like,
Mhm.
yeah, it's important. And I want to see something about like when I said savers. One thing I wanted to mention to you is, I watch your mom and your sister as well in the kitchen, right? And my mom's 86. Your mom is what?
My mom's going to be 90 in about a month and a half.
Wow. Like, but I see the same sort of mannerisms in the kitchen, like my mom, and your mom, and it's sort of like they're scraping like the last, tablespoon out of any bowl or whatever it is, right? Like it's sort of like that's what I mean. Like you're brought up in a certain way. You're not going to change your partner from that. Um, so I just want to say that too, like the way you're raised, it's like 80% of who you are.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I will always be part of the clean plate club.
Yeah.
Right? It's just something that we all did growing up.
Yeah.
Trust as a cornerstone.
Uh-huh.
What
Mhm.
I couldn't agree with you more. I just think that trust is what everything is built on.
It really is. Like, I mean, there's just no other way of describing it. Like with affairs, that's what I mean. Like that's the Gottmans is where I've been trained as a Gottman therapist, and you're familiar with the Gottmans, right, Julie?
I am not.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, if you ever have relationship issues, just remember their names. They're two psychologists out of Seattle. And anyway, great, great information on relationships. But they they describe like a relationship house and how the two pillars that keep up the house, I guess the supporting walls, you could say, are commitment and trust, which is, because without those standing walls taking the weight of the relationship, like you have no relationship sort of thing.
Mm, mm,
So, yeah, trust. I mean, sometimes, like often, I would have more women entering my office individually than men, right? Men don't run to therapy as easy. But if women are coming to me individually and asking me, like, what do I do? Do I stay? Do I go? And sometimes it's really easily answered if I say to them, do you feel he has your back?
mm.
And if she trusts him in that way, then I'm like, you got to stay. I realize it's hard right now what's happening, but if you have somebody that you can really trust that he or she will have your back when times get hard, what more do you really need? So,
Nothing like having somebody that has your back,
yeah. Yeah.
right, at all times.
Yeah.
Acts acts of love. Boy, don't we all just love those unexpected small little gestures when you least expect it? It's
Yeah.
like, oh, it just makes you melt.
Oh, I know. And it's the simplest things, right, Rip? It's sort of like um I don't know, like for, women cleaning the snow off your car,
Just
window. Like yeah, changing your summer's tires and your winter tires. Like little things like that we rarely give thanks for because we've gotten the habit of just expecting that our partner's going to do it. What that might be in your relationship with your wife, it's sort of like she just does it all the time.
hmm
Um, but these are all acts of love that are so easy to take advantage of. And that's what I meant in, when I said that before. It's sort of like the eroticism, the honeymoon stage is that like that passion of love. But then the bulk of the marriage is the acts of love, which then become habits of
mm,
love.
mm.
And it's the middle part that's so hard is to keep up those acts of love even when you're really hurt or insulted or yeah.
Well, well, so in that same vein, then your next pillar is forgiveness as a choice,
Oh, yeah.
right? Loving beyond the hurt.
Yeah, yeah. And it's I think I'm not going to say women have more of a trouble with forgiveness, but I see it more women complaining about it because they've sort of just buried it. Like all those times that they were hurt. And let's face it, women are more prone to hurt because of the emotional hurt that men are just like black and white thinking, what? Like I hurt you? What? You know, um, And believe me, I get it all the time. Like men are like one's on one side of the couch, and the other one's on the other side of the couch, and she's talking, and he's like, I can see him looking at her, going, "What? You know, 2 years ago?" And like you never said anything, and so
Yeah.
yeah, and so and women want justice, I find. Again, it's sort of like, if someone pushes their kid down on a school, playground, they're like, oh, let me get after that kid,
Mhm.
right? And so they're always trying to go for justice. They have a little bit more hard time forgiving. But I mean, I think you have to realize, and this is where my faith sort of kicks in too. It's sort of like, um, you know, God loves us no matter what.
Mm.
All our flaws, all our warts, all our scars, unconditional love all the time. He's constantly forgiving us. Why can't you just do this one forgiveness? Like what makes it so hard for you? I think we have to realize we were hurt. It's a huge cost to us. We lost something in that interaction, but we have to be okay to forgive anyway.
Mm.
It's not like let's get equal first. It's like, no, you forgive and you're
Yeah.
free.
Well, it's surprising sometimes how hard it can be to apologize when you've hurt somebody and
Yeah,
they they really want to hear it from you, and they want to hear it from you in a very authentic way
exactly.
that is meaningful, and they hear it, and
Yeah,
they can tell in your voice that you mean it.
exactly. You're so right. It's something that's not spoken about, but like, how many of us do really sincere apologies? Once you do that, it's very easy for the most of the time for the partner to just let it go then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
You already mentioned kind of faith as a foundation,
Yeah.
and and leaning on that when nothing else is working, which is great. And your last pillar is sacrifice and mercy. And you say
Yeah.
that love requires both of these. Can you explain it?
Yeah, yeah. Because it kind of goes on a flywheel sort of thing, like sacrifice and mercy. It's sort of okay, if I'm gonna, you know, first of all, okay, like I said before, marriage is all about sacrifice. So anybody young that's, engaged in love, realize it's going to be hard and you're going to make a lot of sacrifices, but it's worth it. It's sort of like you provide the person mercy with forgiveness, and when they hear that or when they feel that, they instantly have love for you. So then you love the person, and because you're feeling loved, you're able to provide more mercy, more sacrifice, and this
Mm.
this makes the other person feel loved again. And it's just sort of like it's a bit of a flywheel. You just keep on feeding it acts of love, more forgiveness, more mercy, more sacrifice, and it flows beautifully
Hmm.
when you see it that way.
Yeah, no, I can see that. And you have to practice it day,
Exactly.
day in and day out. And I think somewhere in reading about you, Luella, you're like, you have to make this one of the most important things in your life every day.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah.
and I think a lot of couples they don't want to work that hard.
You're so right, Rip. It's yeah, like it's such a me culture right now. It's
Hmm.
all about me, what I need, my ego, my honor, my status, my hurt, my suffering, victim, and it's sort of it's the opposite of what we should be doing, instead of serving others and thinking less about yourself. In some ways, like people that go for therapy or like constant therapy are also kind of in that, me, I have to get better. I have to like even the self-growth sort of like culture too. It's sort of like, I need to perfect myself. I need to perfect my diet. I need to sort of like, I mean, to an extent, right? But we can all become way too obsessed
Mm.
in certain areas of our life, and we start idolizing maybe our body too much, maybe our health too much, maybe our career too much, instead of like reminding ourselves like to serve others.
Mm. I have one more question for you
Yeah.
before we have to duck out, and that is any suggestions or recommendations for a house that is divided when it comes to the husband, let's say, that wants to continue to have their meat and cheese and eat like a man, and the woman that's trying to get more plant strong because they are so amazing and they're wonderful and they're smart and they're up on the science.
Yeah.
Um, how do you recommend that divide and trying to conquer it?
That's a good question. I know, you ask your other guests that as well. And
Yeah.
I would say, like, well, it's kind of what I'm doing now, Rip. Like, I
Hmm.
mean, nobody has really jumped on the bandwagon. I mean, we eat healthy, balanced meals. I mean, but I mean, most of my protein comes from plants. And I just keep on doing my thing. My youngest son is becoming more interested in it now, I see. So it's not, again, it's not a division. It's not this is the only way, this is the best way, you're wrong, I'm right. And that's what kind of gets couples in a lot of trouble when they start behaving like that. Just start modeling, and speaking out loud. Wow, I've been feeling like a lot more energized, and getting your partner kind of curious is sort of, hmm, I wonder what that's all about, sort of thing. Or, man, they seem to be moving around the house easy. Why am I,
Yeah.
yeah, struggling? So,
Well, you said two words there that I really liked. The first is modeling, and then the second was curiosity, right?
yeah,
Those are two. Like, yeah, keep modeling that that behavior, that lifestyle, and then hopefully eventually, yeah, it will create curiosity coming from your partner.
yeah.
What did you have for breakfast this morning?
Oh, I had berries and chia pudding with
Mm.
soy milk and a little bit of nuts because I'm a nut freak. But yeah, so I feel like I covered all bases there, but it's a typical one for me. And like in the summer heat, like we've been having crazy hot temperatures the last couple of days. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's
Yeah.
not the oatmeal, but yeah.
Where's the best place for people to find you, read up on you, check out your work?
Yeah, I would say my website's probably good, but if you want more like up-to-date stuff about, my beliefs, my philosophy on life and marriage, then probably Instagram is because
Hmm.
yeah, post there about 3 times a week. My podcast, which I recently changed to the Luella Jonk Show. Um, yeah, lots of stuff on relationships on that podcast. So that's about it.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, um, you've given us a lot of wonderful food for thought, especially regarding relationships that are, God, we all have them.
Exactly.
It's just a matter of, what direction are they going in? Are they feeding us? Are they,
Yeah,
um,
sucking us dry.
sucking us dry? And I think we all want to be moving towards the former, not the latter.
Right, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially for men, like if you're struggling, like reach out. I hope that stigma
Hmm.
is not there for men anymore. Just like I'm weak, why would I need to talk to somebody? It's so
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can I get a virtual Plant Strong fist bump on the way out?
Absolutely. I've
Boom.
always wanted to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
All right. See you, Luella.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
We only scratched the surface today, but I would encourage you to explore more at Luella's website, Luella, LuellaJonk.com. and I'll put a link in the show notes to make it super easy for you. There you'll learn more about her practice and her podcast. I want to thank you so much for listening, and know that even if it feels one-sided, you can still build a lasting relationship that grows stronger with time. Keep the respect, keep the commitment, and always, always keep it Plant Strong. The Plant Strong podcast team includes Carrie Barrett, Lori Kordowich, and Amy Mackey. If you like what you hear, do us a favor and share the show with your friends and loved ones. You can always leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And while you're there, make sure to hit that follow button so that you never miss an episode. As always, this and every episode is dedicated to my parents, Dr. Caldwell B. Esselstyn Jr. and Ann Cryle Esselstyn. Thanks so much for listening.